Okay, so thanks for tuning into this video, and I am back from the beach that I was at for a few days, and we're just waiting here for Hurricane Idalia, which is not going to hit this area. We'll be okay. We'll get a lot of flooding and all that kind of stuff. Well, let me rephrase that because I just said that. As a matter of fact, we could potentially get flooding from the flash floods, but we'll be okay. So, what I wanted to chat about tonight, and really, this is something I've been studying for a long time. But here's the thing about studying. You know, when you study, you have to put things into practice, and that's one thing that happens. A lot of times we study, and it's up here in the intellect, but it's not necessarily in the heart. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So the divine feminine is obviously the part of the heart, so to speak. That energy that how do I say it, is expressive, and it creates, and it has this feeling that it works towards. That's where our intuition works out of, all that kind of stuff. Then there is the divine masculine. That's our intellect, that's our logic, or our parts of things that have to break things down and understand them, that kind of stuff. Both sides have to be working in conjunction with each other. Some people might refer to the divine masculine as the left hemisphere of the brain, and some might refer to the divine feminine as the right side of the brain. So, here's what's super important. What has happened over the many thousands of years? We've started to forget about the divine feminine. Yeah, we understand about the ego and the id, all that other kind of stuff, and the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain on some level, but we only understand it on the physicality of this. So it used to be that science and spirituality worked hand in hand with each other, but now they're at odds with each other. Why is that an issue? Well, in modern day medicine, they know that there is a thing called the placebo effect. And some doctors have been known, especially if they have a strong spiritual faith, when they know if everything that fails in their doctoring or their medicine is not working, then some of them I've known have sent their patients home and say, live a good life, laugh a lot, enjoy your time with your family, pray, that kind of stuff. Why? Because what ends up happening is that actually starts shifting the energy in your body. And so what happens is that the interesting part about this is that we've built a world based on we have to see it with, or feel it or smell it. Something has to be with our five senses. And that's the furthest thing from the actual truth. Now, the other part of that is you can be way ungrounded and jump at every little thing and be like, oh, I think this is something spiritual. Oh, I think this, or, God takes care of me and I don't need to take care of the physical. Well, you still have to manage this temple that God lies within. So what's super interesting is that the word Elohim, or El means shining ones. Elohim is plural for more than one. And so, and it even says in Genesis in the Bible that we are made in God's image. It didn't say we were made in our image, it actually says. So it doesn't say God is in singular. It says God is in plural. Now, do I think it's like the gods of the old where they're sitting on Mount Olympus or, in Asgard looking down on us? No, I think what that is that there is an essence or a consciousness that is the divine, so to speak. And as a result of this consciousness of all of us, this has been studied and talked about for thousands of years, is if we separate God, the thing is we separate God and think God is this man in a white flowing beard sitting on a throne up in, up in the heavens. So we've literally made our God Zeus, or some angry God throwing lightning bolts down on all of us, and as a result we're afraid of that. And as a result of everybody's fear that believed in that, or half believed in it, or thought they believed in it, or studied it, you got the other side that's just so angry because of all the judgment and the anger and everything that's happened as a result of that. And it even says in the Bible, the measure by which you judge is the measure by which you will be judged. And what this is saying is that everything that you put out there comes back tenfold. That's a natural law. or the power of 3 times 3, those kind of things. And so we've literally, there's churches out there that are built on being word-based churches. But it says in the Bible to not take it by the letter of the word, but to take it by the essence or the meaning in the Bible. And we know that the Bible and other spiritual texts are a living word, meaning in order to study, and the more you dive into and treat your own temple and dive within yourself, the stronger you're going to get in that living word, so to speak. Because you are a part of that. You are a child of God, or consciousness, so to speak. You are a direct physical manifestation of that consciousness in this world. Now, what does that mean? Why am I talking about all this? Well, as a result, there is feminine and masculine in all of us. And so it's really very, very interesting, because we've had this, especially over the past several hundred years or even thousands of years, women were oppressed. We know that. They weren't allowed to vote. They were treated as objects. And this all stems back way before a time in a story called Adam and Eve. And so Adam, or Atom, atom, take a rib. God takes a rib from Adam and then creates Eve. So literally, Adam was, in a sense, one being with the divine feminine, the divine masculine in him. So he was androgynous, very much like the rest of us. We all produce testosterone and estrogen within all of us. And what's super interesting about that is, yes, physically some of us are men, some of us are women, and now we have people that are transgendered, non-binary, and expressing differently because their souls are feeling something different. Now, that is a whole conversation that I'm not willing to talk about, at least not right now. My main point in here is that we've oppressed the feminine aspects of who we are. And the interesting thing about that in manifestation, people love to talk about the law of attraction or the secret. The law of attraction is just cause and effect. So why is that important to understand? Because if you understand that attraction is the result of how you feel about yourself and how the value you see in yourself is, what happens is that the divine masculine, the masculine energy in you, the ego starts to go, well, I'd really like to do this. I'd like to have this, let's say, Corvette. We're just going to say that a Corvette, because we'll use some physical object that, because it makes it easier for us to understand. And then, interestingly enough, you go and you start to think about that. You start visualizing it. You start feeling it. You start, as the secret even showed, you're sitting there and acting like you're driving the car and all that kind of stuff. And then your ego also does, because in everything, prayer, Christian prayer, pagan rituals, and anything out there, it says, put the intention out there and then let the universe or God or the divine take care of it. So what does everybody else do? They still stay in that ego. They literally sit there and like, how's it going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. They try to jump at everything and say, I know how this is going to happen. They go to psychics, all that kind of stuff. Nothing wrong with any of that. There's nothing wrong with going to your minister, all that kind of stuff to get advice and wisdom. And with that being said, if you've put the prayer out there, if you put the intention out there, that's the divine masculine. Then you've got to allow the divine feminine to start to create and mold around the intention. Because remember, in quantum physics, what we focus in on is what we bring into our third dimensional reality. So, but there's all these other quantum possibilities out there. There's all these other potentials that we could be experiencing. That's why we say things like that or better, and I want the highest and best good. I want it divinely given. Here, that's the reason why we do that. Because you may be focused in on this red car here, this red Corvette, but something better is coming around the corner that's going to really knock your socks off. And so as a result, remember, mother knows best and father knows best, so to speak, but they're not separate from you. The divine feminine, divine masculine is not separate from you. So as a result of Adam and Eve, and this Eve being created out of Adam, then as a result, she goes and takes from the tree of knowledge. And she creates what we like to call the original sin. So we've been literally villainizing the divine feminine aspect of ourselves for thousands of years. We've literally started to oppress the part of ourselves that comes into balance with the divine feminine, divine masculine, and they both create together. And then we wonder why our manifestations or our creations aren't working. Because we sit there and we go, well, I really like this really red car. And you're like, well, how's it going to do it? I'm going to have to get another job. I want to make more money. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to make this, blah, 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 blah. Of course, maybe you will. And what the energy of the divine says, we will take you on a path to get there. And that's in natural law. It's called the law of gestation. And as a result of the law of gestation, it allows you to prepare yourself much like a baby does before it comes out of the womb. It prepares you for whatever that is. Abraham Hicks would have called that, I have to become the vibrational match for what I'm trying to manifest. So, but as a result of us oppressing that, we don't have enough experience with that feminine aspect of ourselves, that balance of creation, the yin and yang, so to speak. When we're in balance with both, that is what Matthew 7 talks about as the narrow path in the Bible. And so it talks about that, and it says there's a path that many will take, and then there's a narrow path that very few will take. Well, what is that? The narrow path is when you're not caught up in a lot of attachments or ideas of the way you think things should be, or the way you think things have to be, or that you're pointing your finger in judgment at other people. If you're worried about what other people are doing, somebody else is back in your garden, and you're not, your Garden of Eden, so to speak, and nobody's cleaning it up and cleaning all the weeds out. You're just going to sit there and you're going to allow all this energy to come through, and you're not paying attention to your own temple, so to speak. And the divine lives within you. Let me say that one more time. The divine lives within you. And as a result, we are all interconnected because we are all one, and that really messes people up. No, we're not all one. We can't be all one because I'm an individual. Well, of course you are. Duh. But you're also an individual that's connected to a greater consciousness. That's the macrocosm and the microcosm. And inside of you is an entire essence of a universe with cells and organisms and consciousness that's moving those cells and organisms and blood through your body. Now, as a result, we have polluted our temple full of anxiety and stress and things that are preventing us from living that optimal life. And that optimal life is you being happy, you living in your highest and best good, you living in balance in that narrow path with the divine feminine and divine masculine in that yin and yang, and having that dance, so to speak. So what does the divine masculine do? The divine masculine also protects us. It keeps us grounded in this energy. It says, don't go walk out in front of a Mack truck and think that, God's going to take care of you. It's going to hit you. It's going to kill you. Those kind of things. It says that, that didn't work before, or let's stay balanced here. A healthy energy that's in balance and a good marriage within yourself of the divine feminine and divine masculine is what will keep you in balance. And when you're dancing together internally, then you will go into the flow of the divine, and you will find that you will have a very powerful, wonderful, blissful, empowered life. So, as a result of this, when you see things like Hurricane Idalia comes out, or when you have something that happens in your life that really stresses you out, immediately fall into yourself and start praying internally, and that frequency will start building up inside of you. And as a result, the right and perfect situations, the right and perfect blessings, the right and perfect things will start falling into your lap. Now, there's another natural law that says the law of action. So you have to act on those things that drop into your lap. You can't just say there, well, I'm going to find that partner, and I'm going to find love, and I'm going to have that perfect career, but sit on your couch doing nothing. Not going to happen. Love doesn't come knocking at your door. abundance doesn't come knocking at your door. You have to put in the work and as the opportunities start falling in your lap. And I'll leave you guys with that. You guys have a wonderful evening and much love.